Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
We thank God for the blessings of health and the opportunity that God has given us so that we can gather here. On this opportunity, I will share a presentation entitled Drugs. First of all, let me introduce myself. I'm Anggi Angelina, and I also want to thank my friends for wanting to be here. So the presentation this time consisted of the ongoing opening, the content or material section, and finally the closing. I hope friends can hear well my delivery. And alright, let's get into the material. And this is the table content that I want to deliver or that I want to share to you. The first one is definition of drugs, and then the second is effects of drugs. The third is types of drug. Next is characteristic of drug users, and then medical traits due to drug abuse, and the last one is how to avoid drugs. All right, next slide. All right, the first material is definition of drugs. So, what is drugs? Drugs is an abbreviation of narcotics and medicines. Narcotics are substances or drugs that are natural, synthetic, or semi-synthetic, which cause a decrease in consciousness, hallucination, and excitability. Meanwhile, according to the Narcotics Law, Article 1, Paragraph 1 states that narcotics are artificial substances or those originating from plants that have hallucinatory effects, decrease consciousness, and cause addiction. And then the drugs can cause addiction if used excessively. The use of these substances is as a painkiller and provides calm. Misuse can be subject to legal sanction. All right, next slide. All right, next slide. We will talk about the effects of drugs. There is 5 effects of drugs. The first one is dehydration. Misuse of these substances can lead to reduced electrolyte balance. As a result, the body is dehydrated. If this effect continues, the body will have convulsions, hallucinations, more aggressive behavior, and a feeling of tightness in the chest. And then long-term effects of this dehydration can cause damage to the brain. And then the second effect is hallucination. Hallucination are one of the effects that are often experienced by drug users, such as marijuana. Not only that, in excessive doses, it can also cause vomiting, nausea, excessive fear, and anxiety disorder. If the use lasts as a long time, it can lead to worse effects such as mental disorders, depression, and constant anxiety. And then the third is decreased level of consciousness. Users who use these drugs in excessive doses, the effect actually makes the body to relax so that consciousness is drastically reduced. In some cases, the wearer sleeps constantly and does not wake up. The loss of consciousness makes a body coordination disturbed, often confused, and change in behavior occur. And then the impact of drugs that are quite high risk is memory loss. So it is difficult to recognize the surrounding environment. And then the fourth effect is death. The worst effects of drugs occur if the user uses these drugs in high doses or known as overdose. The use of methamphetamine opium and cocaine can cause convulsions in the body, and if left unchecked, can lead to death. This is the fatal consequence that must be faced if you get addicted to narcotics. Your life is at stake. And then the last effect is impair quality of life. The dangers of drugs are not only bad for the condition of the body, the use of these drugs can also affect the quality of life. For example, difficulty concentrating at work, experiencing financial problems, to having to deal with the police if proven to have violated the law. The use of narcotic substances is only allowed for medical purposes in accordance with the supervision of a doctor, and also for research purposes. The rest, these drugs do not have a positive impact on the body. What exists, the quality of life is disrupted. Our relations with family are chaotic, health is declining, and the worst thing is causing that. Therefore, don't try to use these dangerous goods because the risk is very high for life and health. Alright, next slide please. Next slide, we will talk about types of drugs. The content contained in these drugs can indeed have a bad impact on health if misused. According to the law on narcotics, the types are divided into three groups based on the risk of dependence. Narcotics group 1, such as marijuana, opium, and coca plants, are very dangerous if consumed because of the high risk of causing addiction effects. All right, next slide. While narcotics class 2 or group 2 can be used for treatment as long as it is in accordance with a doctor's prescription, there are approximately 85 types of this group, but I don't know all the types. Some of which are morphine and alpha prodina and others. And then group 2 also has a high potential to cause dependence. Next. And lastly, class 3 or group 3, narcotics have a fairly mild risk of dependence and are widely used for treatment and therapy. As mentioned above, there are several types. Oh, next slide, please. All right. As mentioned above, there are several types of drugs that can be obtained naturally, but some are made through chemical processes. If based on the material of manufacture, the types of narcotics include the first one is synthetic narcotics. This type is obtained from a complicated processing process. This group often used for medicinal and research purposes. Example of synthetic narcotics such as amphetamines, methadone, and dexamphetamine, and so on. Next slide. And then semi-synthetic narcotics. Processing uses the main ingredient in the form of natural narcotics, which is then isolated by extraction or using other processes. Example like the picture are morphine, heroin, codeine, and others. Next slide. And The last types of drugs is natural types of narcotics. Marijuana and coca plants are examples of narcotics which are natural and can be used directly through a simple process. Because the content is still strong, the substances are not allowed to be used as drugs. The danger of this drug is very high and can cause bad effects on health if misused. One of the fatal consequences is death. Okay, next slide, please. All right, this is the characteristic of drug users. The following are early symptoms of drug abuse that appear. The first one is being lazy, not paying attention to one's own body, and then disorganized life, unable to take care of other people's interests, irritable and egocentric. And then this is the following are the physical characteristic of drug users. The first one is drastic weight loss, sunken and red eyes, pale face and black lips, constipation or abdominal pain for no apparent reason, and then red spots like mosquito bites. There are incident scars. There is a change in skin color at the injection site, and then discharge, excessive tears, profuse sweating, frequent headaches, painful joints, a lot of mucus from the nose, diarrhea, standing hair on the neck, and the last one is difficulty sleeping. All right. Next slide, please. All right. Next is medical treats due to drug abuse. There are 7. Yes, there are 7 medical treats. The first one is HIV or AIDS. HIV or AIDS injecting drug users are known to have contributed to the increase in the number of people infected with HIV/AIDS. This is because most drug users use syringes, syringes, interchangeably, and also have unsafe sex and change partners. Most are symptomatic, so they are susceptible to infecting others. However, when the immune system decreases, symptoms begin to appear and sometimes they have entered the 8th stage. All right. The second is hepatitis B and C. Hepatitis B and C, in addition to HIV or HIV, hepatitis B and C are also experienced by injecting drug users. And then hepatitis B and C viruses are transmitted through blood, which can come from the exchange of needles by IDUs or injection drug users, as well as unsterilized tattoo equipment. Generally, a person does not realize that he is infected with this disease until his condition get worse and can even lead to cirrhosis and liver cancer. And then next is decreased cognitive ability. Some drugs are more risky to the brain, such as the ability to think and remember, or cognitive decline. For teenagers, usually their achievement in school decreases. Professor Samsurijal said, long-term memory loss, inability to think, ecstasy makes it difficult to concentrate, and marijuana causes disturbance in perception and thinking, and causes neurological disorders. And then next is disorders of the liver and kidneys. As is known, these two organs function to filter and remove toxins in the body. However, in drug users, the process of neutralizing and removing toxins from the body is disrupted. So the liver and kidneys have to work harder, which puts them at risk of being disturbed or damaged. This risk can be experienced by all drug users, especially users of ecstasy, heroin, cocaine, which trigger failure, kidney, and methamphetamine. And then number 5 is lung disorders. Lung and respiratory disorders. What is inhaled can irritate the lungs because generally the goods sold in the market are the result of concoction. Dr. Iskandar Hukum said, who is the Secretary General of YCAB, Yayasan Cinta Anak Bangsa, certain substances were found that actually should not be entered or inhaled to the body, so that they could interfere with the lungs and breathing. And then number 6 is sexually transmitted infections. Dr. Iskandar said that drug users are more susceptible to sexually transmitted infections or STIs due to frequent changing partners and tend to have unsafe sex. And then the last medical traits due to drug abuse is mental disorders. Addicts or long-term drug users will make the chemical in these illicit goods damage the nervous system and stimulate behavioral disorders such as hallucinations, illusions, and thinking disorders that trigger mental disorders. All right, next slide, please. So, in today's presentation, I have some tips for you how to avoid drugs. The first one maybe um especially never to try to use narcotics except on the basis of medical or doctor's consideration. So say no to drugs. And then the second is knowing the various kinds of adverse effects of drugs, and then choose good associations and stay away from association that can lead us to drug abuse. Good associations like himpunan mahasiswa, English association, like that. And then having positive activities, exercising or participating in organizational activities that have a positive influence on us, like drawing something like that. And then always remind that the threat of punishment for drug abusers, especially for drug dealers, is a correctional institution. And then use a safe time and place, don't wander around at night. Relax with family, karaoke with family, picnic with your friends or your family, eat together with your friends, with your family, and then cook together, clean up together, and watch with family. Maybe you can camp with your friend at beach like that. And then the last one is if you have a problem, look for a good solution and don't use drugs as an escape. Maybe you can share your problem with your friends like that. All right. Well, I think that's all my presentation about drugs today, and thank you. All right, guys. I think that's all about my presentation. And if you have any question, feel free to ask me.
Anggi, I wanna ask for
Yeah, Asi, please.
mm, one of the effects of drugs is that they can make you have hallucinations. How can drugs make their use hallucination? And how do you get rid of hallucination caused by drug use?
Uh, Asi, thanks for the question.
Yeah.
So, the question is why do drugs cause hallucinations? Um, I don't know the exact answer. However, after I read on Google, why drugs can cause hallucinations? Because drugs have psychoactive substances consisting of narcotics, psychotropics, and other addictive substances. Then these substances can change a person's behavior, feeling, and thoughts, and how to get rid of hallucinations. Because by drugs, I think the best solution to overcome is to stop using drugs, of course, and then take the user to a psychiatrist to get the right rehabilitation so that the user can completely get rid of the addiction and can resume their activities again without the influence of these drugs. All right, Asi.
Oh, okay, Anggi, thank you. I got the point.
All right, thank you. All right, guys, feel free to ask me.
I have a question, Anggi. May I?
Yes, Helen, please.
Okay, I'm Helena and I want to ask you a question. Uh, Drugs are known as good that have a lot of negative sides. However, does drugs have a positive side? That's all from me. Thank you.
All right, Helen, thanks for the questions. So, uh, as we know, many negative effects of drug use, such as hallucinations, mental disorders, and loss of passion for life, and the most severe is death. However, drugs also have a positive impact, especially in the health sector, such as opioids or opium are used for centuries as pain relievers and to prevent cold and diarrhea. And then cocaine from the leaves of the erythroxylon coca plant is usually chewed to get a stimulant effect. such as to increase endurance and stamina. I think that's all for my answer.
Okay, Anggi, thank you.
Welcome. All right, guys. Who else?
May I give my question to you? Why drugs are very dangerous for our bodies, especially for children who are still underage? Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Father, for the questions. So, why drugs are dangerous for minors or underage or teenagers? I think because drugs contain substances that have psychoactive uh, properties through selective effects on the central nervous system that cause changes in mental activity and behavior. And then the initial purpose of drug use in the medical field is only to relieve pain during surgery. But if it is not in the right dose, it will damage the nerves of the user's brain. All right, that's
Okay,
the
thank you,
answer.
Anggi.
Welcome. Anything else, guys?
Anggi,
Anggi,
I
I
wanna ask.
Yes, please.
Hmm, mention which drug have the most dangerous effect if taken regularly and the dependence lasts longer. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Thank you for the question. So, uh, as I explained earlier, drugs have three groups. There are groups 1, 2, and 3. And then group 1 is intended only for scientific development and is not used in therapy. And then this group also has the potential to cause dependence. Example of narcotics group 1 are marijuana and opium. Then group 2 is used as a last resort for treatment and in therapy and scientific development. Just like the previous group, class 2 narcotics also have a high potential to cause addiction. Example of these narcotics drugs are morphine and group 3 are widely used as treatment and scientific development. Different from the previous group, this class of narcotics has the potential to be lighter in causing dependence. Therefore, the most dangerous type of drug is a class 1. I think the class 1 because it has an addictive effect and is only used for research, not for treatment and therapy. All right, uh, that's the answer.
Okay, thank you, Anggi.
All right, welcome. Anything else?
Anggi, I have question.
Yes, please.
Are alcohol drink a drug?
Pardon? Can you repeat?
Are alcohol drinks a drug?
Oh, okay. Are alcohol brings a drug? I think I know. After I read on Google, according to law, only narcotics can cause dependence. Thus, alcohol beverages are indeed not included in the narcotics category, but include alcohol beverages whose production, distribution, and sale are determined as goods under supervision. All right. That's my answer.
Okay, Anggi, thank you.
Welcome. Right, guys. Anything else? So please feel free to ask me.
Anggi, I have a question. Can I
Yes,
just
Helen,
one
please.
question? And I just want to know what causes a person to want to use drugs. Can you explain?
What causes a person to want to use drugs?
Yes.
Okay. Um. I think a lot of causes why a person want to use drugs. Mm, but my answer is the desire to try, and then want to be different, lack of confidence, eventually becomes an addiction or dependence, and then environmental influences, wrong associations, or pressure, being forced, and then threatened from eventually fall into drug abuse, and also an unsupportive family environment such as a broken home. Like that, Helen.
Okay, okay, I get your point. Thank you.
Uh, Anything else, guys? Okay, I think that's all. And thank you for your participating, and then thank you for your questions. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Goodbye, everyone.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much, Anggi.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Good job.